You may be standing in a season of exhaustion. You may have smiled your way through battles that broke you inside. You may have walked through storms while pretending everything was fine. But deep down, you know you are tired. Tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of believing, tired of being strong when your strength has long been spent. And yet, my friend, I want you to hear this truth today. God knows. God knows you are tired. He sees the weight you carry. He feels the cry that never reaches your lips. And He understands the ache that no one else can comprehend. God knows how hard you've tried. He knows the tears you've hidden behind your prayers, the nights you've spent questioning His timing, and the mornings when you wanted to give up, but still got up, because something inside you whispered, "Don't stop now." That whisper wasn't your own strength. It was the voice of God sustaining you when you thought you had nothing left. Because when you belong to God, your breaking point becomes His starting point. You may think that the silence means God has forgotten you, but the silence is often where God does His deepest work. You may not see anything changing, but beneath the surface, He is moving mountains you cannot see. The waiting is not a punishment, it's a preparation. God doesn't delay to deny you. He delays to develop you. Every prayer you have whispered has been heard, every sigh recorded, every act of endurance noted. God knows when your soul trembles, and He knows how to restore it. There are moments in life when prayer feels like shouting into an empty room. You plead, you beg, you pour out your soul, and yet the heavens seem quiet. But hear me, when God seems silent, He is not absent. His silence is not rejection, it is protection. You are being shaped in the silence. You are being strengthened in the waiting. You are being prepared for the promise. The strength you are developing now is the foundation for the blessings you will carry later. Do not despise the slow season, because it is in the slow season that God builds unshakable faith. Anyone can trust God when life is good, but it takes divine courage to trust Him when everything is falling apart. This is the kind of faith that moves mountains. The faith that believes even when it doesn't see. God is not looking for those who only trust Him in victory. He is raising those who trust Him in silence, in confusion, in delay, in darkness. God knows you are weary. He knows the battles that don't show. But God also knows how to renew strength. When your body is weak, He renews your spirit. When your heart is faint, He infuses your soul with endurance that cannot be explained by human means. There is a supernatural strength that comes only when you pray instead of panic, when you trust instead of complain, when you wait instead of run ahead. Waiting is not wasting. Waiting is the womb of greatness. Every seed must remain hidden before it grows. You are not being buried. You are being planted. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared for a harvest that will silence every doubt. God is never in a hurry, but He is never late. He is working in divine timing, and that timing is always perfect. When you look around and see others advancing, others receiving, others celebrating, and you remain in the waiting, do not compare. God's plan for you is not delayed, it is being perfected. Comparison breeds discouragement, but trust breeds peace. God is not finished with you. He is writing a story that will reveal His glory through your endurance. Sometimes God lets you walk through the fire not to burn you, but to prove that you cannot be consumed. Sometimes He lets you reach the edge of your strength to show that His strength is limitless. Sometimes He allows your plans to crumble so that His plan can stand unshaken. Trust what He removes as much as you trust what He gives. The things that leave your life are often the things that could have destroyed you had they stayed. When your heart says, I can't take any more, God says, you don't have to, I will carry you. When your mind says, it's over, God whispers, this is only the middle. When your faith feels small, God reminds you that He can work with a whisper, a breath, a tear, a sigh. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to remain open. God does not need perfection from you. He needs surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving it over. It means you stop trying to control the outcome and start trusting the process. When you surrender, you stop asking, why? And start saying, I trust you. You stop fighting the storm and start learning how to rest in it. Because when you trust God, peace becomes your weapon. Waiting becomes your worship. Prayer becomes your power. Unconsciously, God knows how long you've been fighting that unseen battle. The weariness you feel is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you've been faithful. The fact that you are still standing, still praying, still believing after everything you faced means you are stronger than you realize. And God is not blind to your perseverance. He is storing every tear, counting every effort, and preparing a reward that will overflow. Sometimes God waits to act not because He hasn't heard you, but because He wants to show you what He can do when human strength runs out, when your back is against the wall and every door is closed. That is when God reveals doors you didn't know existed. When the situation looks hopeless, that is when He demonstrates that hope doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from Him. Your tiredness is not the end of the story. It is the turning point. The moment you feel you cannot take another step is often the moment God steps in. When your faith is hanging by a thread, His mercy holds the thread. God is closer to you in your exhaustion than He was in your excitement. He draws near to the brokenhearted, and He gives rest to those who wait upon Him. Maybe you prayed and nothing happened. Maybe you believed and still lost something precious. Maybe you waited and nothing came. But listen, just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it isn't coming. The waiting period is not God's way of saying no. It's His way of saying not yet. He's aligning pieces you can't see, orchestrating people and places you haven't met, and positioning you for a breakthrough that will make sense of every delay. Trusting God doesn't mean understanding everything. It means believing even when it makes no sense. Faith is not knowing the details. It's knowing that God holds the details. And sometimes what you call delay, God calls direction. What you call rejection, God calls redirection. What you call loss, God calls preparation for something greater. Don't let your weariness steal your worship. When you are tired, pray. When you are confused, wait. When you are discouraged, trust. Because the very act of trusting in your tiredness is a declaration of faith that moves mountains. It says, God, even when I don't feel you, I know you're here. Even when I don't see the way, I know you've made one. There is power in persistence. There is strength in surrender. There is glory in waiting. God is teaching you patience not to punish you, but to perfect you. If everything came easily, your faith would remain shallow. But in the struggle, your roots grow deep. In the waiting, your trust becomes unbreakable. In the silence, you learn that His presence is not limited to answered prayer. It's in every breath, every step, every tear. Maybe your season feels endless. You've been praying for years, hoping for change, watching others receive while you remain in the shadows. But know this, God hides those He intends to elevate. Before the light shines on you, He works in the dark to strengthen your character, to purify your motives, and to prepare your heart. When your time comes, no one can stop what He has prepared. When you trust God in your tiredness, you are demonstrating faith that heaven celebrates. The angels see your endurance. The universe takes note of your surrender. Every time you pray, despite your pain, you are declaring that your hope is greater than your hardship. You are saying, I may be tired, but I am not done. I may be weary, but I still believe. God sees you exactly where you are. He knows the nights you've cried yourself to sleep, the mornings you've faced the world with a forced smile, the prayers that came out as whispers. He has not abandoned you. He has been beside you in every step, collecting every tear, whispering courage into your soul. Even when you felt nothing, He was holding you. Sometimes God removes what drains you to remind you that joy doesn't depend on people or outcomes, but on Him alone. He allows certain doors to close because He's protecting your peace. He lets some relationships fade because He's making room for new strength. You think He's taking from you, but He's actually pruning you for fruitfulness. Every no from God is wrapped in love. You may be tired, but you are not forgotten. You may be weak, but you are not worthless. God has a purpose for your pain, a reason for your waiting, and a reward for your faith. The same God who held you through the storm will raise you after it. The same God who saw you cry will make you smile again. The same God who watched you struggle will lift you into strength. Pray even when it's hard to believe. Pray even when you have no words left. Prayer is not just asking. It's breathing with God. It's the moment your weakness meets His power, your confusion meets His wisdom, and your exhaustion meets His peace. You don't need perfect words, you need an honest heart. God understands sighs better than speeches. When you wait, do it with expectation. Waiting is not sitting still. It's standing in faith. It's saying, I don't see it yet, but I know it's coming. It's trusting that what God has prepared will find its way to you. Waiting with faith transforms despair into strength. Because when you wait on God, you are not wasting time. You are aligning with divine timing. Trust is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's choosing to rest even when you don't see results. It's saying, God, I trust you more than I trust my emotions. Your emotions may scream that nothing is changing, but your faith knows that everything is being arranged. Trust opens the door for peace to enter where panic once ruled. Every person who has walked in divine purpose has walked through seasons of tiredness. Every soul that has seen God's promise fulfilled has also endured seasons of silence. You are not alone in your struggle. Even the strongest have felt weak. But those who refused to quit, those who kept praying, those who waited with faith, they saw what others could not. They touched the reward of endurance. God knows you are tired, but He also knows you are closer than you think. You've come too far to turn back now. The pain you've endured is not wasted. It's the price of transformation. The strength you've built in this waiting season will sustain you in the next one. What feels like delay is actually divine acceleration happening beneath the surface. Rest does not mean quitting. Rest means trusting. It means allowing God to carry what you cannot. The world tells you to hustle harder. God tells you to rest deeper. Because true strength is not found in constant movement. It's found in quiet confidence. When you rest in God, you are declaring that you believe His plan more than your pressure. The fire doesn't destroy gold. It refines it. It burns away the impurities that were never meant to remain, and what comes out shines brighter than ever before. The same is true for your soul. The heat of your trial is not to harm you. It is to reveal the strength and beauty that God placed within you from the beginning. You are being refined, not rejected. Every test, every delay, every disappointment is molding you into the person capable of carrying the destiny that God has prepared. And sometimes the weariness you feel is not physical, it's spiritual. You're not just tired in your body, you're tired in your faith. You've been believing for so long that hope itself feels heavy. But God says, rest in me. Rest is not found in escape. Rest is found in trust. When you learn to rest in the arms of God, your spirit begins to breathe again. You stop fighting battles that were never yours to fight. You stop chasing what was meant to come to you by divine timing. You learn to walk with quiet confidence, knowing that what God has written for you cannot be erased by any human hand. It takes deep faith to keep praying when nothing changes. It takes real strength to remain peaceful when the waiting stretches longer than you imagined. But hear this truth: God never wastes your waiting. In your waiting, He is maturing your vision. In your waiting, He is teaching you that peace doesn't come when everything works out. Peace comes when you finally surrender everything into His hands. You don't need to know when. It's enough to know who. You don't need to understand how. It's enough to trust that God already does. God has seen the end from the beginning. What confuses you today is already clear in His sight. What looks delayed in your timeline is perfectly on schedule in His. You may feel like you are walking through fog, unable to see even the next step, but God is not asking you to see. He's asking you to believe. Because when you trust Him in the fog, He will lead you into clarity. When you trust Him in uncertainty, He will guide you into peace that surpasses understanding. Many lose faith because they expect God to move according to their calendar. But God's timing doesn't operate on human clocks. You cannot rush what He is building. You cannot demand what He is still preparing. God takes His time because what He creates lasts forever. He doesn't give you fragile blessings that fade. He gives you divine foundations that stand. Every delay is shaping your capacity to handle the blessing when it arrives. And here, this waiting on God is not a passive act. It's the highest demonstration of faith. Anyone can run ahead. Anyone can try to fix things on their own. But it takes divine discipline to stay still when everything in you wants to move. Waiting is not weakness, it's worship. It's saying, God, I trust you enough to stop striving. The world glorifies speed, but God honors patience. The world says, do more, but God whispers, be still. Because in stillness, you begin to hear His voice clearer. You see, when you rush, you miss revelation. When you wait, you gain wisdom. The waiting season opens your spiritual eyes to see beyond appearances. It teaches you that blessings received too early can destroy you, but blessings received in divine timing will sustain you. So if God has not yet released what you've prayed for, it means He's still preparing you to handle it with wisdom, humility, and endurance. And yes, sometimes it will hurt. There will be nights when you wonder why God hasn't answered yet. There will be days when your patience feels like punishment. But remember, God is not delaying to frustrate you. He's delaying to fortify you. He's teaching you to depend on His voice instead of outcomes. Because when your faith is built on results, it will crumble when things don't go your way. But when your faith is built on trust, it will remain unshaken through every season. Even now, as you listen, God is working in places you cannot see. He is preparing opportunities behind closed doors, shifting hearts in your favor, aligning divine connections. What feels like stillness on your side is strategy on His side. You may not see movement, but in the spiritual realm, there is activity. Every prayer releases energy. Every act of faith moves mountains, unseen by the natural eye. Do not let the exhaustion of waiting cause you to settle for less than what God promised. The enemy would love to convince you that the delay means denial, that the silence means abandonment, but it is not so. When you stop believing, you stop receiving. When you lose trust, you lose the connection through which God's blessings flow. You must guard your faith the way you guard your breath. Because faith is not just what pleases God. It is what sustains you in the wilderness. You may be walking through dry land now, but remember, deserts precede promised lands. Every chosen soul has walked through a wilderness. It's the place where you learn that God alone is enough. It's the place where you are stripped of dependence on others, where your strength ends and His begins. And when you emerge from that place, you come out different, stronger, wiser, unshakable. Because you no longer trust what you see, you trust the unseen hand that guides you. Sometimes God allows tiredness not to punish you, but to remind you that you are human, and He is God. He lets you reach the end of yourself so that you may discover the beginning of His strength. You will never know the fullness of His power until you admit the emptiness of your own. The moment you surrender control, the moment you whisper, God, I can, but I know you can. That is when divine strength fills your soul. There is a kind of rest that no sleep can give. It is the rest of trust. The stillness that comes when you stop worrying about outcomes and start believing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. When you live in this rest, fear loses its grip. You stop chasing explanations and start walking in peace. You learn that trusting God is not about escaping uncertainty. It's about resting in it, knowing that you are never alone in your waiting. Look at your life. Every disappointment you faced, every delay you've endured, every tear you've cried, they were not wasted. They were tools. God uses pain to polish purpose. He uses confusion to cultivate clarity. He uses silence to sharpen your discernment. Nothing you have gone through is meaningless. Everything has been part of a divine design to shape your spirit for what is ahead. And yes, sometimes God will allow you to lose something you wanted so that He can give you something you needed. He will close a door that you begged Him to open because behind it was something that would have drained you. You thought that delay was cruelty, but it was mercy in disguise. You thought that rejection was punishment, but it was redirection towards something better. God sees what you cannot see. That is why He asks for your trust more than your understanding. When you pray, do not rush to speak. Pause and listen. The power of prayer is not only in your words, but in your awareness of His presence. Prayer is the language of trust. It is the moment when your worries meet divine wisdom. It is where your confusion dissolves into peace. The more you pray, the more you shift from panic to purpose, from fear to faith. Prayer does not always change your situation immediately, but it always changes you. As you wait, keep your spirit anchored. Don't allow your emotions to dictate your faith. Feelings change, but God's plan does not. You may feel forgotten, but you are engraved in divine memory. You may feel delayed, but you are right on time, according to the rhythm of heaven. Your journey is not about speed, it's about surrender. God is not measuring how fast you move. He's measuring how deeply you trust. There will come a day when you will look back and realize that the waiting was not wasted time. It was sacred time. You will thank God for the nights you cried, for the moments you almost gave up, because those were the moments that built your character, forged your faith, and proved His presence. You will understand why the door stayed closed, why the path seemed long, why the answer came later than expected. You will see that the delay was part of the design, and the design was always perfect. There are moments when life feels like a long night that refuses to end. You look around and see no light, no sign, no shift. Everything seems still, and your heart wonders, where is God in all this? But listen carefully. God does some of His greatest work in the dark. The night is not proof of His absence. It is the backdrop for His revelation. Before every dawn, there is deep silence. Before every miracle, there is hidden preparation. God moves quietly before He moves publicly. The very stillness you fear is the signal that something divine is forming beneath the surface of your life. God often hides His hand to strengthen your heart. He does not always reveal the plan because He wants to grow your faith, not your comfort. Faith that depends on sight is fragile. Faith that trusts in silence is unbreakable. And so, when you cannot see the way forward, do not panic. Worship instead. When you cannot understand the timing, do not complain. Rest instead. Worship and rest are acts of faith that speak louder than any words. They declare, God, even when I don't see what you're doing, I still trust that you're doing something. Every soul that has walked with God has known this season. The prophets, the leaders, the chosen, each one endured moments when their strength failed, but their faith carried them. God does not remove your weakness, He redeems it. He allows you to reach the end of your strength so that you may discover His. He lets your plans collapse so that His purpose can rise. This is not punishment, it is purification. God refines you until your faith depends on nothing and no one but Him. When you say, I'm tired, God says, I know. When you whisper, I can't keep going, God says, I never asked you to go alone. Your journey was never meant to be carried by your strength alone. God walks beside you even when your steps are shaky. You may not feel His presence, but He surrounds you. He is the quiet assurance in your uncertainty, the gentle strength behind your endurance, the unseen power that keeps your heart beating through the storm. The truth is, sometimes God allows tiredness because it makes you honest. Honest. When you are weary, the mask falls off. You stop pretending to be strong. You stop striving to prove your worth. You fall to your knees and say, God, I need you. And that moment of surrender, pure, raw, unguarded, is where transformation begins. God doesn't meet you in your perfection. He meets you in your authenticity. The most powerful prayers are not the polished ones. They are the broken ones, whispered through tears. You may feel forgotten, but God never forgets. You may feel delayed, but God never delays without reason. He knows exactly what He is doing. Sometimes God keeps you waiting because He is protecting you from what you cannot yet handle. Sometimes He delays because He is rearranging things in your favor. Sometimes He holds back because what you think you want is smaller than what He intends to give. You are asking for survival. He is preparing abundance. You are asking for escape. He is preparing elevation. And so, when you pray, understand that God's not yet is still an answer. His silence is not neglect, it is strategy. Every unanswered prayer is being shaped into something greater behind the scenes. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and say, if God had answered me then, I would have missed what He was really preparing. Patience is not weakness, it is power. It is the ability to wait without losing faith. Every storm has a purpose. God does not allow chaos without reason. The storm you face today is cleansing your path for tomorrow. The pain that keeps you awake tonight is preparing your heart for a new level of peace. The closed door is not rejection, it is redirection. When God says no, it's because He's leading you toward a better voice. When He removes people, it's because He's making space for destiny. Trust that every divine removal is a form of mercy, even when it hurts. You see, God's wisdom is beyond the limits of your understanding. You see fragments, He sees the whole. You see today, He sees eternity. That is why trust is so essential. You cannot walk with God and demand full explanation. You walk by faith, not by certainty. You walk with peace, not with proof. Faith means standing in the middle of the unknown and saying, I still believe. Faith means holding on to God when every reason tells you to let go. There are blessings that can only come through endurance. Quick victories do not produce lasting strength. When you wait faithfully, you build spiritual muscle. You learn how to be still without being stagnant. You learn how to walk in patience without losing purpose. This is not wasted time. It's divine training. You are being prepared to handle what you prayed for. You are being strengthened to carry what others could not. And yes, there will be moments when you cry, when you doubt, when you question. That's okay. God is not angry with your honesty. He invites your questions because they are the doorway to deeper faith. The act of bringing your pain before Him is itself a form of trust. It says, I don't understand, but I still come to you. Those tears that you think are weakness are actually worship in its purest form. When you feel empty, that's when God can fill you. When you feel lost, that's when He can guide you. When you feel powerless, that's when His strength becomes visible. The emptiness you fear is sacred. It's the space where God writes new beginnings. Don't rush to fill the silence with noise. Let the silence teach you. Let it remind you that your worth is not in your progress, but in your presence with God. So, pray not just for results, but for revelation. Pray not only for blessings, but for wisdom to handle them. Pray not only for open doors, but for discernment to recognize which doors lead to peace and which lead to distraction. Prayer is the posture of surrender, and surrender attracts divine alignment. When your will aligns with God's will, everything begins to fall into place without striving. As you wait, be careful not to curse the process. The same soil that buries a seed also grows it. What feels like the end is often the beginning in disguise. You are not buried, you are being planted. And when the season shifts, when the rain falls, and when the light returns, you will rise stronger and more radiant than ever before. God is not finished with you, He is forming you. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment is shaping your destiny. Trust that nothing in your life is random. The steps may seem confusing, but each one is necessary. Every waiting season carries within it the promise of new strength. And when the time comes, you will realize that it was worth it. That every moment of tiredness, every prayer through tears, every night of uncertainty was preparing you for something you couldn't have imagined. You may be tired, but you are also chosen. You may be weary, but you are still being watched over by God Himself. You may be uncertain, but you are never alone. The one who created the stars also guides your path. One who holds the oceans in balance also holds your heart. The same God who spoke light into darkness is speaking life into your situation right now. So don't let weariness define you. Let it refine you. Don't let delay break you. Let it build you. Don't let the silence discourage you. Let it strengthen you. God is not late. He is preparing a miracle that will arrive at the perfect time. And when it does, you will see why He made you wait, why He asked you to trust, why He told you to keep praying. You will see that the tiredness was temporary, but the transformation was eternal. You will see that what you called waiting was really awakening. You will see that every unanswered prayer was answered in a higher way. You will see that God never left you for a moment. He was with you in every breath, in every tear, in every pause. And when you look back, you will say, "No, I understand." You will thank Him for the waiting. You will thank Him for the silence. You will thank Him for not giving you what you wanted when you wanted it. Because now you will see that He gave you something far greater. His peace, His timing, and His wisdom. So lift your head, even in your weariness. You are not forgotten. You are being held by God's unshakable hand. The season of tiredness will pass, but the strength gained through trust will stay forever. Keep praying. Keep waiting. Keep trusting. God knows you are tired, but He is not done with you yet.